This man clearly possesses immortality and the ability to regenerate quickly. Even so, he chooses to survive on the brink of death day after day in a rubbish dump, all because he was born with an abnormal constitution. Because of this, he was taken to a research institute and kept captive for a full 10 years, where every day felt like hell. Even after escaping and returning to the outside world, everyone instinctively kept their distance upon seeing his current appearance. But today, he finally found the one person who reached out to him, the girl who, during their first meeting, treated him by offering dog food. It turns out that in this world, there's something called a special heart, a mutation that occurs in an extremely small number of people. These people can use their mutant hearts to unleash extraordinary powers and are called heart mutants. When Kim Jin escaped from the research institute to throw the guards off his trail, he even grabbed a high voltage cable with his bare hands. He let the violent current pass through his entire body because the ability his heart had granted him was immortality. For him, being captured again was worse than death. Although the world calls this kind of power a divine blessing, Kim Jin saw it only as a curse, since it was that mutant heart which had landed him in this situation. At that moment, he was rummaging through a pile of rubbish looking for something to eat until he found a piece of bread that had just been thrown away. He grabbed it immediately and stuffed it into his mouth, famished. Suddenly, a puppy appeared by his side, wagging its tail and looking at him. He could only break the bread in half and share it with the dog, who, without hesitation, lowered its head and began to eat. Soon, a whole group of stray dogs gathered around Kim Jin. But then voices could be heard not far away. He thought that the people from the institute had come looking for him, so he quickly hid himself and watched. However, what he saw was 3 goons surrounding a schoolgirl, clearly with bad intentions. At that moment, Kim Jin noticed that the girl was carrying a bag of dog food in her arms. His heart was stirred. Had she come to feed the dogs? Then he came out and shouted for the 3 of them to stop. Seeing his miserable appearance, they started mocking him, asking where this dirty beggar had come from. But the moment they tore off the cloth covering his head, Kim Jin coldly said that he was not a beggar. Upon seeing his real face, the blonde one screamed in terror and desperately backed away. Kim Jin pulled out a bone from his own body and ordered them to stop shouting and leave immediately. But before he could finish speaking, the 3 had already run away in panic. The girl was still in shock and collapsed to the ground, thanking Kim Jin in a trembling voice. But the very next moment, seeing him approach, his face looked even more frightening in the shadow. She panicked, closed her eyes, crossed her arms over her chest, and shouted for him not to come closer. But Kim Jin did not touch. When she opened her eyes again, she noticed that his attention was on the dog food on the ground. He squatted down, took a handful and put it in his mouth. The girl was paralyzed and said weakly that it was dog food. Only then did Kim Jin stop, apologize somewhat embarrassedly, and carefully asked if he could eat a little more. On hearing this, the fear on her face increased, as she had not expected the skeleton-like man to be able to speak. She screamed, got up, and ran out. Watching her run away, Kim Jin was not surprised. He only said quietly that it was as he expected. She had run away. Even so, he took another handful of food and ate it. Thanks to her, at least he had a peaceful meal. But the girl didn't go far. She stayed hidden at the entrance of an alley, watching. Seeing how Kim Jin interacted with the dogs, she realized that he was not a bad person. Then a terrifying thought crossed her mind. Could he be a mutant of the heart? She remembered the rumors and also how he had saved her. A strong feeling of guilt arose. After hesitating for a long time, she finally gathered courage and approached him. She took out a sandwich from her backpack and, with a slightly trembling voice, asked him if he wanted to eat. Kim Jin looked at her in disbelief and asked if it was for him. The girl confirmed and apologized for having run away earlier. Without thinking much, he took the sandwich. On looking at the wrapper, his heart started beating faster. It was the first time, since he had become like this, that someone had given him food willingly. He recognized the wrapper. It was a brand he had seen countless times in the rubbish. When he took the first bite, he was completely stunned by the taste. He thought that taste was like paradise. He never imagined that something could be so delicious, to the point of making him lose control. The vegetables, the bread, the meat, everything had a perfect taste, so delicious that even if he died at that moment, he would have no regrets. In his eyes, the girl looked like an angel. Seeing him eat so contentedly, she gently asked what she should call him. While chewing, he replied softly that his name was Kim Jin. The girl smiled, said it was a pleasure to meet him, and introduced herself as Song Yeji. While petting the dogs, she asked why he was there. Kim Jin replied that he was being chased by a research institute and could only hide. Her smile faded and she asked, incredulously, if that was true. He confirmed it with a somber look. He said that there was an institute specialized in capturing heart mutants and that they wanted to take him back. Her voice trembled as she said she had never heard of such a place and asked what they had done to him. Kim Jin remained silent for a moment before speaking. For 10 years, he was subjected to deadly experiments and torture on a daily basis. They claimed to be testing new medicines and forced him to ingest poison to test transplant compatibility. They even went so far as to remove all his internal organs. Her face turned pale as she asked if he had really been tortured for 10 years. Kim Jin replied calmly but coldly that his heart brought him back to life. No matter how much he was injured, his body would regenerate. As he spoke, he adjusted the cloth on his head and said, with self-contempt and sadness, that was why he had turned into such a horrible monster. After that, he noticed that she kept looking at him. He felt even more uncomfortable and gripped the cloth more tightly. But then she suddenly stood up and said they should forget about all that for now. Without giving him a choice, she firmly took his hand and pulled him along. Watching her back, Kim Jin felt his heart pounding and thought he never imagined someone would hold his hand again. He thought that if she kept on like this, he would end up falling in love. But at that moment, an accident happened. She pulled his arm so hard that she ended up tearing it off. Seeing the severed hand, she screamed in terror, turning pale. She tried to put the arm back quickly, but Kim Jin remained calm and said it was all right. He explained that his body was sometimes like this and that if she put it in the right place, it would regenerate on its own. Only then did she calm down a bit. After that, he asked where she was planning to take him. Sometime later, Kim Jin was already wearing new sports clothes and even a wig. She explained that this way he wouldn't attract attention since his clothes were very torn. She said that although they were simple and cheap, they would do for now. But for Kim Jin, that was already amazing. It seemed unreal. Looking at the clothes, he said excitedly that the feeling was like getting a new skin, that the warmth was as if every hair had come back to life and that these were the best clothes. She interrupted him, saying that this still weren't finished. She said that his face still attracted a lot of attention and since he didn't have ears, he couldn't wear a mask, so she would do some makeup to help him blend in. With a final touch, she finished and said, a bit guiltily, that it was her first time putting makeup on bones, so the result wasn't that great, but at least dangerous people wouldn't recognize him. Kim Jin said softly that it was alright. He sincerely admitted that he really liked the clothes and the makeup, but that warm moment did not last long. Song Yeji looked at the time and exclaimed that it was already late as she had to rush to her classes. She hurriedly said goodbye to Kim Jin and before leaving, asked him to look after the puppies. Watching Ji's figure walk away, Kim Jin silently repeated the name he had kept in his heart, Song Yeji. He lay down on the floor, letting the puppies pile up around him. But her request stirred something in his heart. Did that mean she would come back tomorrow? At the research institute, everyone treated him like an experiment. Even the people he came across while running away would get scared by his appearance and run off. It was the first time someone had treated him like a person. He stroked the puppy and said with feeling that it was all thanks to him. If he hadn't found that dog, perhaps he would have already left and never met Miss Song Yeji. After thinking for a bit, he gave the puppy the name Patata. The puppy licked his hand even more happily. Clearly, he really liked the name. An unprecedented warmth welled up in Kim Jin's chest, and he softly said that this is what it means to be needed by someone. Ji had bought clothes for him, stayed by his side and talked to him. The more he thought about it, the more he felt that she was like an angel. A quiet hope arose in his heart. If he stayed there, surely he would be able to see her again. But the dampness beneath his body brought him back to reality. He immediately realized how naive he was being. He was being chased, and if he continued to stay there, he would also put Ji in danger. Kim Jin clenched his teeth and stood up, already determined. That was not a place where he should stay. He needed to go where he truly belonged. The next morning, he was unconscious next to a pile of rubbish. A rat was climbing up his chest. He woke up startled and caught it at once. After catching his breath, he remembered that the previous night, while walking, he had lost consciousness and ended up fainting in that filthy place. Soon hunger struck and he quickly searched his pocket. He took out a handful of dog food. He had been expecting this and had saved a little earlier. To try and improve the taste, he thought that if he imagined it was a sandwich while eating, maybe the flavor would change. He separated the food by colors, green like lettuce, yellow like bread, brown like meat, and swallowed it in big mouthfuls. Strangely enough, he managed to feel something similar to a sandwich. At that moment, a sudden bark echoed. He snapped back to reality and realized that all the food had already been eaten by Patata. He fell into despair and said that now he had nothing left to eat. The moment he said that, his body freezed. He looked at Patata, full of doubts. How was the dog there? If Patata was there, then that meant... Before he could react, he heard that familiar voice he so longed to hear. Ji appeared asking why he had left without saying anything, saying she almost went mad looking for him. At that moment, Kim Jin felt extremely grateful for having a skeleton face, as he wouldn't have been able to hide his expression otherwise. The moment Song Ye-ji appeared, the emptiness in his heart vanished instantly. She said she had looked for him the whole day and only managed to find him by following the scent with the help of the dogs. She also said it was dangerous for him to wander around alone. Kim Jin could only manage to apologize in a low voice. He explained that if she stayed with him, she would end up being dragged into danger. But Ji just looked at him kindly and said she was happy to have found him. She said even the puppy was worried. Patata came closer and licked his face, and that sudden warmth left him speechless. A little later, Song Ye-ji took out all the food from the backpack and spread it on the ground. While checking the bag, she softly said that since yesterday, he had only eaten a sandwich and hadn't eaten properly. That's why she had bought those things at the convenience store. She took a packet of biscuits, opened it, and poured some milk over them, smiling. She handed it to him and said that it tasted really good like this. Kim Jin stood still, unable to believe what was happening. Without hesitation, he took a spoonful. In the very next moment, the taste filled his whole body. It was so delicious that tears welled up in his eyes. He asked Ji to try it as well, but she just smiled, handed him a cola and told him to taste it. But the moment he took a sip of the drink, the stump of his left arm began to tremble and the bone started to regenerate. Ji was surprised and came closer to have a better look. She asked if he always recovered like this little by little and how long it would take for him to fully recover. Kim Jin replied that it would take several years. Ji was surprised, but he explained that was only based on X-feeding. If he absorbed a large amount of blood, he could recover quickly, but he had never mentioned it before out of fear of scaring her. He also said that this method was only possible at the research institute. Ji asked if the institute helped him to recover. He replied coldly that no, they only treated him like an experiment. That was why they kept chasing him. No matter where he hid, he could not escape. Jay finally understood why he had left without saying anything. He also admitted that she was right. If she got involved with him, she would be in danger. She asked him to stop being kind to her, but Ji replied firmly that he must go with her to the police station. Kim Jin said it would be of no use as they would treat him like a monster and he had already almost been shot by the police before. Then Ji said he did not have to be afraid because her elder sister was a police officer and also a heart mutant. That left Kim Jin completely shocked. Even so, he did not want to get his hopes up. Ji insisted that he trust her just this once, saying that her sister was a good person. Kim Jin remained silent, looking at her, as if the ice in his heart was finally beginning to melt. At that moment, Ji said goodbye to the puppies, telling them to survive until a shelter came to take them in. Batata barked in response. Kim Jin crouched down and thanked the puppy, saying that he would no longer run away like a coward and that he would come back to see him again. After that, he left with Song Ye-ji. It was the first time in 3 years of running away that someone had reached out a hand to help him. Seeing Song Ye-ji's kind smile, he began to think that maybe he could stop wandering and live like a normal person. But at the very moment when hope arose, it was shattered by intense headlights. A car appeared at high speed and ran over Kim Jin, flinging his body into the air before he crashed violently to the ground, his bones breaking. Before Ji could scream, a hand covered her mouth. One of the men held her tightly, while ordering the others to capture Kim Jin. Before anyone could react, several men dressed in black got out of the car with weapons and pinned him to the ground. The leader said that they had finally found him and ordered them to take him away. Shortly after, 3 black vans were speeding down the road. In the rearview mirror, Kim Jin could be seen being dragged by the vehicle. His screams were swallowed up by the wind. His neck was tied with a thick rope and his body kept hitting the asphalt again and again. He screamed desperately while trying to hold on to the ground, but it was useless. The bones in his fingers were quickly wearing down and bleeding as he was dragged along in desperation. He blamed himself for everything. Now, even Song Ye-ji had been captured by them. But no matter how much he struggled, the rope stayed firm, like a faith that could not be broken. At last he understood that with that cursed body and that useless power, he could neither protect anyone nor do anything. All he could do was beg helplessly for someone to save him. At that moment, several shadows suddenly emerged from the forest at the edge of the road. They were the stray dogs from the rubbish dump. They pounced on the rope and bit it desperately, trying to break it. Soon after, the rope finally snapped with a sharp crack. The people in the vehicles realized quickly, but only sent a van back. The dogs did not back down. On the contrary, they stood in front of Kim Jin, protecting him. The thugs with sticks got down from the van hurling abuses, and the man in front spat on the ground, growling in anger, saying that those damned beasts dared to come back. Soon, the sound of violent blows echoed. Kim Jin gathered all his strength and managed to turn around, seeing the thugs attacking the dogs with the sticks. The dogs stood no chance against those weapons. Kim Jin clenched his teeth and started crawling forward. The dogs were bleeding right there, and he needed to do something. Batata bit one of the thugs on the leg and refused to let go. That was when Kim Jin remembered the damned mutant heart. If he absorbed the blood on the ground, even if it was just a little, he might be able to recover a bit. With his last bit of strength, he dragged himself towards the blood, feeling as if needles were piercing his bones. But in the very next moment, he saw Batata, who was struggling desperately, fall into the pool of blood on the verge of death. His mind went blank, leaving behind only a deep pain. The dogs he had fed were lying around him. Fallen, he called their names again and again, but only silence answered him. That scene took him back to the 10 years he spent in prison. Every morning he woke up in pain. What awaited him was not hope, but endless experiments. He was forced to receive blood from other people, his organs were taken out while he was still alive, and he suffered all sorts of torture. Day after day, year after year, the same despair repeated itself. Because of that mutant heart, even wishing for death became an impossible luxury. Fortunately, he managed to escape from the institute after a careful plan. When he regained his freedom, he naively thought that the outside world would be a new beginning, but reality was cruel. Everyone feared and hated him because of his appearance. He was treated like a monster. Now, at that moment, his mutant heart was beating violently as if it would burst out of his chest. Throughout all his loneliness, only the dogs in Song Yeji had treated him like a human being. And now, even that little bit of warmth had been destroyed. The pain and anger he had suppressed for 13 years exploded all at once. The blood around him began to move and gather into his body. That monster's body started to rebuild itself within that mass of blood, slowly returning to its human form. In an instant, his body was completely restored. He looked at the hand that had regenerated, feeling the blood flow once again, as if he had returned to his childhood. But that also reminded him of the beginning of his nightmare. In the next moment, he realized the price of his recovery, the blood of the dogs. The three delinquents were terrified when they saw that scene. The bald man tried to act brave and attacked Kim Jin from behind, but he received a punch to the face and was sent flying, fainting as he hit the van. Kim Jin, expressionless, just stared straight ahead. Kneeling in the blood, he held Batata, who was gravely injured, in his arms. In a cold voice, he said that he knew the most painful ways to die and that the first one to answer could live. The criminals were paralyzed with fear. He demanded to know where they had taken Song Yeji. Meanwhile, 3 vans arrived at an abandoned warehouse. A woman with her head covered had her hood removed. It was Song Yeji. She didn't understand what was happening. Looking around, she saw several men with terrifying appearances. Her face changed immediately. There was a stretcher in front where they were carrying out organ extraction. A man pulled her hair forcefully, threatening her. He told her to stay still if she wanted to live, as no one there cared about lives. Those words almost made her collapse. Soon, the boss's phone rang. He answered irritably, but received absurd news. The dogs had broken the rope and the skeleton had turned into a human. The boss became furious, not understanding anything. Song Yeji heard everything and began to suspect that the dogs had gone to rescue him. The boss, enraged, smashed the phone and cursed his men, saying that if they didn't bring Kim Jin back, they would be dead. Then he turned his attention to Song Yeji and demanded that she say where he was. Seeing that she wasn't answering, he lost control and threatened to stab her. Song Yeji was trembling with fear. She had never gone through something so terrifying. Just as he was about to act, a figure suddenly appeared, throwing one of the men aside. Everyone was left in shock. A young man in a t-shirt was standing there, and his mere presence was already oppressive. The boss didn't recognize him and had no idea that this young man was actually Kim Jin. One of the henchmen approached him mockingly, but in the very next moment, he was grabbed by the neck. Kim Jin spoke in an icy voice, saying that because of them the dogs had died and that he wasn't there to cause trouble but to kill them all. Two more henchmen came forward and one of them managed to hit him, but it had no effect at all. For Kim Jin, that blow was insignificant. He responded with a single punch, smashing the man's face. The man fainted on the spot and lost consciousness immediately. Another one saw the chance, grabbed Kim Jin by the shoulders and pinned him down forcefully, saying that he had finally caught him. The very next second, another goon landed a violent knee strike, but Kim Jin hardly took any damage. He was bleeding, but he didn't feel any pain. Suddenly, he moved forward with his head and struck the man, leaving him dazed. Even the one holding him from behind was thrown off. That scene shocked everyone. He was not an ordinary person but a monster. Kim Jin's voice was cold. He said that no one would leave that place today and asked if they were from the Hermes laboratory. The first one to recognize him was Song Yeji. His expression, movements and way of speaking were all too familiar, making her body tremble. She began to associate the figure of the former skeleton with the human standing before her. At the same time, the boss also recognized him. He said that he had truly returned to his human form, but his girlfriend was in their hands, questioning whether he would still dare to act. A gunshot rang out and a bullet pierced through Kim Jin's left arm. Although he was strong, he was neither faster than a bullet, nor could he completely ignore the pain it caused. The boss laughed loudly, calling him an idiot for having fallen into the trap. The goons pulled out their weapons and started firing non-stop. The bullets struck Kim Jin like a storm, creating countless holes in his body within seconds. Since they knew he could regenerate, the strategy was simple. Don't give him any time to recover. The flesh that regenerated was destroyed again, and the intense pain shot right through to his bones. Even so, Kim Jin could not fall. If he fell, Song Yeji would die. His body was torn apart by the bullets, his bones shattered by the impact, and even his lungs were pierced, making it impossible for him to breathe. Song Yeji fell into despair and begged them to stop shooting. The next moment, Kim Jin collapsed to the ground, but his mind remained clear. As long as he could absorb blood, he would be able to rebuild his body. He raised his arm and began to crawl slowly. Then he pressed his hand against the ground and started drawing the blood around him towards himself. Soon, the blood spilled from previous experiments also began to gather around him. His heart was pounding violently. Someone realized what was happening and warned that he could recover by absorbing blood. When they looked again, Kim Jin was already gotten up. He had absorbed enough blood and could no longer be stopped. The men aimed their guns again and fired without stopping. He could feel every bullet entering his body, tearing through his flesh and breaking his bones, but his body kept regenerating at the same time. The pain kept repeating itself, but it was nothing compared to what he had already suffered at the institute. He had already been burned with magma and his bones had been crushed by machines. Compared to that, the bullets were like a breeze. Kim Jin struck one of the men in the face, sending him flying. Those gunshots could neither destroy him nor frighten him, because he had already endured much worse pain. Everyone was paralyzed with fear. Another man tried to block a blow, but his arm was broken instantly and he was thrown against the wall. With just a few moves, Kim Jin defeated the remaining three. His eyes were filled with fury. Someone had to pay for the death of the dogs, and that day no one would leave alive. The enemies were thrown one after another. He swore that he would never run away again, nor let anyone close to him be hurt again. Now only the boss was left. He panicked and threatened to kill Song Yeji, but before he could finish, he received a blow to the face so quick that he couldn't react. The black marks appeared on Kim Jin's face, a sign of his extreme fury. With one blow, he hurled the boss against an iron tank, crushing him completely. But that was not the end. Kim Jin slowly approached, and the boss, desperate, begged for his life. It was already too late. The dogs were dead and could not come back. Without hesitation, Kim Jin began to hit him repeatedly. His blows fell like rain, smashing his face until it was unrecognizable. After several blows, his anger started to subside. His hand was covered in blood. No one would have imagined that a seemingly weak young man could defeat all those criminals by himself. The warehouse was destroyed, with several bodies scattered around. After all that, Kim Jin took a deep breath, trying to calm himself down. Song Yeji called him, asking if he was alright. He walked towards her, but his presence was still heavy and frightening. Even she, who already knew him, couldn't help but tremble. He hugged her and thanked her for being safe. Unable to control himself, he began to cry. The best possible outcome was that she was alive, but the dogs had died to save her. That pain was etched in his heart. Song Yeji, confused, asked why he was thanking her. She also hugged him and said that she was the one who should be thankful. After that, Kim Jin took her outside. Soon, the bodies in the warehouse would attract the attention of the authorities. Sometime later, they returned to the place where the dogs were. All of them were dead. Song Yeji, who used to feed them, felt a deep pain seeing them like that. Then she saw Kim Jin biting his finger and trying to feed the dogs with his blood, attempting to bring them back to life. She stopped him, saying that would only make them suffer more. Kim Jin did not understand. He said that they died because of him and that they would probably hate him. Song Yeji gently explained that it was not true. They liked him. Those dogs normally avoided humans, but he was the only exception. She said that they showed signs of abuse and carried trauma, which is why they didn't trust people. Kim Jin never knew that. He always thought they were just docile. Then she said that if he kept hurting and blaming himself, the dogs would become sad. After hearing that, he finally began to understand. Song Yeji smiled and said that they approached him without hesitation, and that was the proof. Maybe it was because both had gone through similar situations. Kim Jin had countless scars from being used as an experiment. He thanked her silently. If it weren't for her, he would never have understood what the dogs truly felt. At that moment, a faint sound came from behind him. When they turned to look, they discovered that there was still a puppy hiding. At that moment, Kim Jin recognized it immediately. It was a puppy called Batada. He hadn't seen it before and had been worried the whole time. So luckily, it was still alive. The puppy walked towards Kim Jin step by step. It sat in front of him, wagging its tail non-stop, but he couldn't figure out what that meant. Kim Jin bent down and spoke to it softly. "Don't you hate me? Your friends and your mother died because of me." But the puppy only licked his finger. Kim Jin remained still. That little one also cared for him. It even fell asleep by his side, as if it considered him a safe place. Song Yeji was very confused and didn't know what to do. There was no way they could just leave that puppy behind. So that meant they could only take it home with them. But if they really took it with them, what would happen to Kim Jin? Those people from the laboratory clearly didn't seem like ordinary criminals. Thinking about that, Song Yeji immediately called her elder sister. She said, "I did what you asked me to do, but now I don't know where I should go." Seeing Song Yeji's relaxed smile, Kim Jin was puzzled. What exactly had happened for her to be so confident? In the end, they talked and decided to take the puppy with them. Soon, they arrived at a block of apartments. When Kim Jin saw how clean and organized Song Yeji's house was, he couldn't help but murmur in amazement. He had never seen a place so spotless. Can someone as dangerous as me really enter here? Song Yeji smiled and replied, "You were the one who risked your life to save me. How could you be dangerous?" She added that her elder sister was very eager to meet Kim Jin. Her elder sister was investigating a case that seemed to be connected to the laboratory that was after him, and maybe she could help him. Kim Jin nodded stiffly, but his gaze involuntarily drifted towards the nearby mirror. The moment he saw himself, he was completely paralyzed. Was that person really him? Song Yeji got frightened. "Why are you suddenly shouting?" But she had no idea about the shock he was feeling. He had defined features, flesh, blood, and an absurdly handsome face. It was unreal. It felt like a dream. Song Yeji was also taken aback. "Didn't you know that your face has returned to normal?" Of course, Kim Jin didn't know, because his face had never regenerated before. He stared at that face, both familiar and strange at the same time, remaining motionless. Maybe this is how he would look when he grew up. The more Song Yeji spoke, the more unbelievable it seemed. And no matter how Kim Jin looked, he didn't look like a middle-aged man at all. "How old are you?" It can be an estimate. Kim Jin started counting on his fingers seriously. He hadn't thought about that in a long time. He entered the laboratory when he was 7 years old. He spent 7 years in experiments, and after escaping, 3 more seasons passed. So now he must be 17 years and 2 months old. On hearing that, Song Yeji spat out the soft drink she was drinking in shock. She rushed towards him. "So we are the same age? Then why did you make me call you uncle before?" "Explain it now." Kim Jin looked away, feeling embarrassed. "I just liked it when you called me that. It made me feel like I was being treated as a person." Song Yeji was left in shock. Those words were both irritating and painful at the same time. What exactly had that boy gone through? From that day onwards, they started calling each other by their names and stopped being formal. 10 minutes later, they prepared a bowl of food for the dog, and Kim Jin also received a big bowl of hot rice. For him, the taste was amazing. He had never eaten anything so delicious. Song Yeji felt a bit embarrassed. Just rice with egg and soya sauce. I'm not very good at cooking, so don't worry. I'll serve you a bit more. But Kim Jin didn't think that way. That was the best meal he had in all those years. That simple bowl of rice with egg made by Song Yeji was special. Song Yeji's elder sister had an unexpected situation and couldn't come, probably because she was too busy with work. Several dishes that Song Yeji prepared were completely finished by Kim Jin. Not a single grain of rice was left. That night, Song Yeji set up the sofa for Kim Jin to sleep on. It was much better than the garbage station. That sudden happiness left him not knowing what to do, and she even gave him a blanket, something he had never received before. Song Yeji switched off the living room light and said she had some homework to do and that she would go to sleep in her room afterwards. So Kim Jin was supposed to rest first. After that, she closed the bedroom door. Kim Jin was left alone in the living room, not knowing where to put his hands. His eyes wandered all around him. Everything felt unfamiliar. Like someone entering the city for the first time, he looked at everything without reacting. There was a huge, slim television. Even more amazing, they had flowers inside the house. He had only seen things like that outside the laboratory before. He sat down on the sofa, which was so soft it seemed impossible. A sofa is always like this, even softer than the beds in the laboratory. At that moment, the puppy knocked over the food bowl and seemed to choke for a moment, as if something had got stuck. Kim Jin looked over amusedly. Would the puppy be alright? The little one spat out a few bits of kibble but still seemed uncomfortable. Kim Jin's heart sank. Had something got stuck in its throat? If it died from choking, that would begin. He threw the blanket aside and rushed over, but stopped as he got close. The puppy was completely fine and simply lowered its head and continued eating. It even looked at him in confusion. Only after confirming that everything was alright did Kim Jin finally breathe a sigh of relief. It was just a false alarm. He placed the puppy next to the pillow and slept beside it. He murmured that the sofa was warm and soft and that he really liked that place. Meanwhile, the little one kept pacing back and forth. He too had wandered alone for a long time. Their experiences were eerily similar. Kim Jin looked at it absent-mindedly, wanting to give it a name, but after thinking for a bit, Orejita seemed like the best name and he felt that the puppy liked it too. So from now on, that would be its name. Little by little, Orejitas drifted into a deep sleep. Kim Jin felt a warmth in his chest. Perhaps this was what they call happiness. Today he ate a proper meal and even had a hot bath, things he had never had before. He started to imagine if things could continue like this. If he could live with Orejitas and Song Yeji, that would be the happiest moment of his life. Even sleeping in such a soft place was something he had never dared to imagine. But he also knew that all of this could be taken away at any moment. If he wanted to keep it, there was only one way: to become stronger. He immersed himself in his memories. Back then, he and some companions planned to escape together. They were about to reach the exit. If they managed to get out, they could live like humans. But at the last moment, a group blocked the way. They were all high-level mutants and facing them required extreme caution. After a deafening explosion, stones fell like a storm. Many of those trying to escape were crushed instantly. Elsewhere, an armed man raised a laser cannon and aimed it at them. Energy built up and flames were fired. They wanted to burn all of them alive. But just when they thought they had succeeded, the situation changed. A girl from the group activated an ice ability and blocked the flames. At that moment, Kim Jin was dizzy, on the verge of fainting. As his consciousness began to fade, a hand reached out to him. The person shouted at him to stay awake. The situation was dangerous, and if he fainted, he would be captured again. The man told him to hold on, that if they managed to get out, they would be free. When Kim Jin heard the word freedom, he felt an immense strength surge within his body. The woman in front of him extended her hand. "Come on, the exit is right there." Then she held his arm. Seeing the exit so close, he was trembling with excitement. All the suffering of those years was finally about to end. But at the last moment, the 7 or 8 who were escaping together got separated. In the following 3 years, he was never able to get in touch with them again. Kim Jin always carried that pain in his heart. If only they were still together, maybe they too would be out there thinking of him. When he became strong enough, he would find them. Then he would never allow Song Yeji and little ears to be taken away again. Once was already enough. Even if it was just a small moment of peace, he would hold on to it with all his might. No one would be allowed to destroy his peace. No one would be allowed to touch his friends. Thinking about that, a murderous intent appeared in his eyes. The people from the laboratory, not a single one of them would escape. When he became strong enough, he would return to take his revenge. And when that time came, he would also rescue everyone who was still inside the laboratory. The next moment, it was already morning and his scream almost echoed through the whole street. He was running desperately through the streets as if fleeing for his life, his face already soaked with tears. "Little ears, where are you?" He had finally found a companion, and there was no way he could lose him again. He needed to find him. He searched every street and alley, but Little Ears was nowhere to be found. That morning, Song Ye-ji had to go to school. She said her elder sister would return at night and asked Kim Jin to stay at home and look after everything. The moment he heard that he would have to meet a stranger, Kim Jin hesitated instinctively. After Song Ye-ji said goodbye and left, he felt a bit envious. A place like school must be very interesting. Little Ears also wanted to go out, but Song Ye-ji thought that taking him to school would be troublesome, and besides, it wasn't allowed. To keep him from getting bored, Kim Jin suggested taking him out for a walk. Song Ye-ji was still worried. What if those dangerous people found them again? Kim Jin said it would be fine. Everyone who had seen his face had already been dealt with, and with his current appearance, no one would recognize him. Song Ye-ji thought for a bit and agreed, so she let him take Little Ears out for a walk. She pointed to the leash in the cupboard and said he should put it on. But Kim Jin did not expect Little Ears to resist the leash so much. Before going out, Song Ye-ji warned him several times, without the leash, something could happen and the puppy would be in danger. Seeing how much it was struggling, Kim Jin's heart tightened. Was Little Ears suffering because of it, or had he fastened it too tightly? The more he thought about it, the more guilty he felt. The puppy's mother had just died, and now he was still hurting him. Anyway, Sweet Potato had been his benefactor, so he should loosen up a bit. Moreover, since he himself had been tied up with ropes before, he felt empathy for Little Ears. But while he was still hesitating, the puppy slipped out of the leash and even bit a passerby's trousers. Kim Jin finally decided to take off the leash and just carry him for the walk. But when he lowered his head, Little Ears had already disappeared, and even the collar had come off. His heart started racing and his breathing became uncontrollable. Had Little Ears run away just like he once did? He could only run in the direction the puppy had gone. He didn't dare to think about what would happen if he lost him too. What kind of hell would he return to? Meanwhile, Little Ears, having regained his freedom, was running through the streets full of joy. His destination was the school. He wanted to find Song Ye-ji. On the other hand, Kim Jin had no clue, not a trace of the puppy anywhere. He even searched in dustbins but found nothing. He searched for a long time and still nothing. He was on the verge of despair. How was he going to explain this to Song Ye-ji at night? The more he thought about it, the more scared he became. Everything she said was true. Taking the puppy out was dangerous. If it got run over, he would have no reason to live anymore. If dog traffickers caught it, that would be even worse. The previous night he had promised to protect it, and now it had already disappeared. When he looked up, he saw a school in front of him. Song Ye-ji goes to school. Could it be this one? While he was thinking that, he saw a small dog scratching its ear. When it turned its head, Kim Jin recognized it immediately. It was Floppy Ears. He ran over there. Now that he had found it, he couldn't let it escape again. The puppy must have followed Song Ye-ji there. He hid behind a tree and watched the students coming and going with an unfamiliar expression of envy. Everyone seemed so happy. He heard people talking about heart mutants. When he turned his head, he saw 3 students watching a video that said those mutants were the result of experiments. There was even a reward notice. Unregistered mutant could be worth a lot of money. They were also talking about the illegal market for mutant organs. Kim Jin laughed to himself. That was how the outside world saw them. He told himself he needed to be even more careful, find Little Ears, and get out of there immediately. Soon, he spotted him again, not too far away. Little Ears was following 3 girls who got excited upon seeing him. They came closer, saying he was very cute, and started taking photos. But at the moment they took the photo, Kim Jin appeared in the picture. The 3 of them got frightened. "Who are you? Are you a stalker?" Kim Jin quickly apologized. "Sorry, I didn't mean to scare you. I'm not a stalker. The dog beside you is mine. His name is Little Ears." To his surprise, after he spoke, all 3 of them fell silent. They looked at his school uniform. It looked like a first-year student's, but they had never seen him before. A transfer student? Kim Jin felt uncomfortable and asked if they were taking photos of him. The 2 of them got even more excited. "Actually, if we were taking your photos, can we take a picture together?" "You're very handsome." Kim Jin immediately refused, saying that he couldn't appear in videos. At that moment, a hand holding a mobile phone reached out in front of him. "Give me a contact." The one who spoke was the prettiest girl in the school. The other two were shocked. Minjun had never asked a boy for his contact before. She was an influencer with 1 lakh followers. Minjun was excited on the inside. He was absurdly handsome and even his shyness was charming. It would be great to go out with him. But Kim Jin said he didn't have an account. Sorry. Minjun frowned slightly. That was a bit too direct of a rejection. And how could anyone these days not have an account? Kim Jin didn't give her time to react and bowed. "I appreciate your kindness, but I have to refuse." The two friends were left in disbelief. It was the first time Minjun had been rejected like this. Even Minjun couldn't hide it anymore. Kim Jin took Orejitas from Minjun's arms and thanked her several times for helping to find the dog. Minjun got even more irritated. "Am I pretty and still lose out to a dog?" But Kim Jin didn't notice that. A little further away, a boy was watching everything, already considering him a romantic rival. The boy lifted his foot and kicked the ball straight at Kim Jin's face. It was too quick and he couldn't react. He took the full impact. The boy came closer with a fake expression of regret and apologized only to the pretty girl. Ignoring Kim Jin called out to him, "Are you blind? That was dangerous. My dog almost got hurt. Apologize now." The boy laughed. "You want me to apologize to a dog?" The very next second, he held himself back on seeing the girl nearby. He didn't really apologize, he just told Kim Jin to go to the infirmary, mentioning that someone had already broken their nose with a ball before. Kim Jin said he was fine but that the dog almost got hurt and that he should be more careful. The boy nodded repeatedly in a superficial manner. Okay, I'm sorry. Dogs are valuable, aren't they?" Kim Jin agreed, since he hadn't been hurt. The matter seemed settled and he turned to leave with little ears in his arms. As soon as Kim Jin left, the boy sent his friends to dig up information about him. He didn't like his attitude. Even so, Kim Jin was happy. Even though he had almost lost the puppy, nothing bad happened, and he saw many people his age at the school. He wondered if, had he gone to school, he might have been able to make friends. At that moment, someone called out to him. The boy who had kicked the ball ran up to him and put his arm around his shoulder. "Hey man, sorry about earlier." Kim Jin did not understand the concept of friendship. The boy said that since they were in the same class, they were friends. He said he felt bad about what had happened and wanted to buy him a bun. Kim Jin asked if he was serious and the boy said yes of course and even joked that the dog in Kim Jin's arms would be used for breed. As he spoke, he led Kim Jin to a corner. The next second he gave him a hard pick. Kim Jin was left paralyzed. What was happening? Why did that guy suddenly attack him when he looked up? He was already surrounded by 3 people. Their eyes were cruel. "Are you an idiot? We said we'd buy you a bun and you actually believed it." They did exactly what they said. They started beating him up immediately. Kim Jin looked alone. There were probably more than a dozen people nearby. They asked him why he had provoked that guy's girlfriend. Kim Jin cursed inwardly. He had thought that the guy really wanted to be friends, but in the end he was just looking for trouble. He turned to leave, not wanting to say anything more, but the person in front of him blocked his way. "Do you think you can come and go from here as you please?" Suppressing his anger, Kim Jin told them to move aside. "Just a moment ago you scared my dog." The moment he finished speaking, the guy in green in front of him raised his hand to slap him, and from the direction of the blow, it was clear he was aiming for the dog's ears. In the very next second, Kim Jin punched him and sent him flying. Everyone was left in shock. What the hell? Is this guy really that strong? Even the boy who had offered the bread was stunned. He only saw Kim Jin slightly raise his hand and then his subordinate went flying. 3 people stepped forward at the same time. "What did you do to our brother?" But in Kim Jin's eyes, their movements were so slow that they seemed frozen and he didn't even bother to look at them. But today he was truly irritated because they had tried to hurt his dog. In the next instant, Kim Jin's heart pounded strongly. Then, several people were thrown by him so quickly that they couldn't even see the path of his blows. Kim Jin aimed his fist at the leader in front of him, and just as the punch was about to land, he stopped, changed direction, and struck the wall beside the man's head. The brick wall shattered instantly, with fragments exploding outwards, frightening everyone. "I already told you to stop, but you didn't listen. You almost scared my dog to death." At that moment, everyone realized that he wasn't an ordinary human, but a monster who could destroy a brick wall with his bare hands. They didn't even care about the boss anymore and ran off. The boss was also left terrified. He had never seen anyone like that before. He collapsed to the ground trembling. If that blow had landed on him, his bones surely would have broken. The more he thought about it, the more frightened he became, realizing that he had provoked something he never should have. He threw away his pride, knelt down and begged for mercy, saying that he would never disrespect a dog again. He even put all the blame on his subordinate. They were the ones who wanted to hit the dog. I really didn't want to. I also have a dog at home. I love dogs, I swear. Kim Jin looked, and indeed he had a dog at home. Maybe he wasn't completely bad. At that moment, Kim Jin's stomach growled. He had only used a bit of strength and was already hungry. He hadn't eaten the whole day, nor had the little dog. The boss felt miserable, hungry at a time like this. Should he buy him food or not? Then he changed his mind. There was no way that could be a coincidence. Kim Jin was clearly pretending to let him go while secretly extorting him for food. How manipulative. At that moment, somewhere out of sight, Song Jae-hee was in the classroom doing homework, while the long-haired boy had already ordered a large amount of snacks and bread for Kim Jin. Seeing Kim Jin devour the food, the long-haired one even felt a bit uncomfortable. Has this guy never eaten before? But the truth was, Kim Jin really had never eaten that kind of bread before. It even had pieces of strawberry inside. The long-haired one felt a chill. That fellow was absurdly strong, but his reactions were like someone a bit naive. He secretly made a call to a goon. The man was strong, and the long-haired one wanted him to come and give Kim Jin a brutal beating. He promised a big reward afterwards. After a few words, the other side agreed. The long-haired one smiled inwardly with contempt. Just wait for your death. When he turned his head, he saw Kim Jin giving ham to the little dog. He looked at Kim Jin's hands. There wasn't a single scar. The more he looked, the stranger it seemed. Not even a professional boxer would be like this. An idea popped into his mind. This fellow might be a mutant at heart. He said it out loud, and Kim Jin got such a fright that he spat out the glue he was drinking. He quickly denied it, saying he wasn't. But to the other person, that only made him look even more suspicious. The long-haired one covered his mouth in shock. It was the first time he had seen a heart mutant. No wonder Kim Jin was different from ordinary people. He immediately warned the thug, afraid he might unknowingly get into danger. But on hearing heart mutant, the thug got even more excited. The long-haired one tried to stop him, saying not to come. It was dangerous. But what surprised him the most was that the thug asked him to keep the mutant there. At that moment, Kim Jin finished eating and got ready to leave. Of course, the long-haired one couldn't let him go. He needed to buy time until the boss arrived. So he took Kim Jin to an arcade. After playing for a while, Kim Jin was very happy. It was his first time in a place like that. In Kim Jin's heart, the long-haired one was truly a good person. He even took him to the claw machines. But the long-haired one knew that all of this was just to buy time. Then they went to the karaoke in the car. Kim Jin had no sense of music, but he sang the whole song from start to finish. The long-haired one said he sang badly, but that was the only children's song he knew. Kim Jin shared that he was separated from his family at the age of 7. That was the song his mother had taught him before she left. After that, he never had a normal life again, nor did he learn any other songs. The long-haired one's heart trembled. Separated from his family at 7 years old and not living a normal life. What could that fellow have gone to? He started feeling more and more uneasy. Could it be that all mutants live like this? Kim Jin's past shook him. What was he doing? Plotting against someone like that. Suddenly, he took out all the money he had. Today I'm gonna spend it all. I need to let you live like a normal person at least once. I'll show you the real world. They played rhythm games and also Street Fighter, but Kim Jin didn't win a single round. In the end, Kim Jin got tired. Not just him, the long-haired one as well. Spending all the tokens was exhausting. Shortly after, he received a call from the boss. Only then did he remember that he was supposed to keep Kim Jin there until the boss arrived to beat him up. But he had enjoyed himself so much that he completely forgot about it. Even more absurd, he took several photos with Kim Jin. For some reason, he had truly been happy that day. He said goodbye to Kim Jin. It's already late. Go back home. Let's go out again another day. After that, he went to see the thug and apologized politely. Sorry, I found out that he's not a mutant of the heart. The boss didn't behave in. Are you making fun of me? In the next instant, the long-haired one was beaten up. He didn't dare to defend himself and was left trembling on the ground. But the thug had no intention of letting him go. Speak up already. Where is the mutant? The long-haired one pleaded, explaining that he spent the whole day with him and he seemed like an ordinary person. If he really were a mutant, he would have noticed something strange by now. In the dance game, he was just a weak fellow. After just a few jumps, he was already out of breath. The bandit got irritated as if he had made the trip for nothing. He crouched down and pressured the long-haired one. Explain yourself properly. Why did you suddenly change your story? He even offered him money to reveal where Kim Jin was. But the long-haired one did not give in. He did not want to sell out a friend for money. He only said, "Trust me, he's an ordinary person." The bandit kicked him in the stomach. "So you're not going to obey?" The blow almost knocked the wind out of him. The bandit wrapped an iron chain, threatening to get brutal if he didn't talk. Even then, the long-haired one gritted his teeth and refused. He is just an ordinary person. Why are you looking for an ordinary person? The bandit completely lost his patience. I see. Now you want to die? As he said that, he brought his fist down, but at that very moment, a hand grabbed his wrist. The iron chain was as thick as a thumb, with welding spots and burrs. If someone was struck with it, the wound would stay infected for a long time. The long-haired boy's eyes trembled. How could he be here? Kim Jin slowly crouched down. I came looking for you. You played with me for so long, so I came to thank you. The long-haired one, desperate, told him to run away. I know these guys. They're street curs. It was me who called them to beat you up. He confessed everything. He even told them that Kim Jin was a mutant of the heart. Kim Jin asked just one question. Why? The long-haired one was left speechless. After a few seconds, he replied in a low voice that he was very angry because he had been beaten up and apologized. But that was not what Kim Jin wanted to know. He looked at the chain and asked why he was letting those fellows use that to beat him. The thug's eyes darkened instantly. The long-haired one became even more confused. In a situation like this, you still care about that? The very next second, someone struck Kim Jin on the back from behind. Then several people knocked him to the ground and started beating him with punches and cakes. A masked man let out a loud laugh. So you are the mutant with the heart, eh? Foolish enough to fall straight into our hands. But Kim Jin completely ignored them and simply stretched out his fingers, absorbing the blood from the ground. In the very next instant, he punched the man in the jaw, sending him flying with ease, even leaving the other bandits in shock. In less than 3 minutes, Kim Jin had taken down everyone. None of them were worthy to be his opponent. The gang leader took advantage of an opening and stabbed a knife straight into his heart. He did not move, he just let it happen. When the other man's hand had grown weak from so much stabbing, Kim Jin grabbed the blade. Stop trying to stab me. I'm not gonna die. He took the knife and stabbed it into the man's thigh, making him feel the same pain. The others tried to run away, but Kim Jin appeared in front of them in an instant. They already knew his secret, so they couldn't be allowed to leave alive. 3 minutes later, everyone was on the ground, unable to stand up. The long-haired one, with his face completely swollen, crawled over to Kim Jin. You got stabbed? Are you alright? Kim Jin said yes. The wound had already closed up on its own. The long-haired one was left in shock. It was no wonder. Was he really a mutant? Even his healing was absurd. In the end, he apologized in a low voice. I betrayed you. I don't deserve to be your friend. Kim Jin didn't explain anything. He just handed him a towel. You're bleeding. Clean that up first. The long-haired one realized it was the dog's sanitary mat and cursed him inwardly. This fella is a wretch. Even so, he wiped the blood. I really don't deserve to be his friend. To sell you out behind your back. Hearing that, Kim Jin let out a slight laugh and that made him happy. Looks like I'm not the only one who thinks we are friends. For me, that's already enough. That sentence completely broke the long-haired one, who started crying. He hugged Kim Jin and thanked him for forgiving him. You're amazing. After everything was sorted out, Song Yeji came running in. When the long-haired man saw her, his whole body froze. He never imagined that the girl he admired knew Kim Jin. Her heart was broken. Didn't you say you didn't have any friends? I'm a liar. At that moment, Kim Jin said he wanted to go after the middleman, but Song Yeji immediately stopped him, saying that they hunt heart mutants and are completely insane. Many intermediaries are also mutants. That only made Kim Jin want to find them even more. Neither of them understood why he was so determined. Kim Jin explained that he had a personal reason. He had a connection with the middleman from the time he was separated from his companions. Maybe he could find them again through that. The one with long hair insisted, Didn't you say you didn't have any friends? Where did these friends come from now? Kim Jin's expression darkened. I don't have any friends here, but I did have them in the laboratory. They were companions who survived along with me. In the laboratory, there was only pain and experiments every single day. One day, he was taken to an unknown place. The journey was long and frightening. He thought it would be another round of torture. He was thrown into a space full of swords and knives. Only after going through that did he understand it was a test. The blades pierced his body again and again. Then they pushed him into a room. Without daring to resist, he opened the door. Under, there were several children wearing the same experimental uniform. All of them had special abilities. They were just like him, heart mutants. Suddenly, someone attacked. A boy made a blade appear in his hand and charged at him. Before he could react, the sword was cut in half. An ice shield appeared and blocked the attack. A girl appeared and hit the attacker, calling him an idiot. He's not a monster. Look at his uniform, is just like us. Then several children surrounded Kim Jin, curious. It was the first time they had seen a living skeleton. Not knowing what to do, Kim Jin covered his face and asked them not to look at him, but nobody cared. They just kept watching. Then someone said he looked cool. Even though he was a skeleton, they were not afraid of him. After that, everyone started introducing themselves, happy to have a new friend. It was the first time Kim Jin felt what it was like to have friends. He found out that all of them were test subjects from different laboratories. By sharing the same suffering, they became close quickly. They met only a few times a year, but they cherished every meeting. Suddenly, a loud cry interrupted everything. Song Yeji was moved. What kind of life did you live? She asked where those friends were now, but he did not know. When they escaped from the laboratory, everyone got separated. There were too many guards. It was the only way to survive. Song Yeji understood. So you want to find the middleman because maybe he is also looking for your friends. They decided to help. The one with long hair took the bandit's mobile and quickly found the message history. They were planning to capture Kim Jin at 7 in the evening, and it was almost time. Meanwhile, 3 luxury cars were parked outside a warehouse. A group of people armed with knives were attacking a man, but the man did not seem to take them seriously. With a simple movement of his body, he dodged all the blows in the very next instant. A black hole appeared in his palm, and from it, a long blade was slowly drawn out with a casual motion. Several people fell on the spot. The way they were swinging their knives was incorrect. A blade should be used like this. He and they simply weren't on the same level. But the boss on the other side did not panic, as he had a weapon in his hand. However, the moment he pulled the trigger, the weapon was sliced in half by the man's blade. The boss began to tremble all over. That man standing before him was powerful, like a calamity. The man let out a low chuckle. If you use a blade properly, even steel can be cut. That was his skill, the sword of the heart. In no time, everyone there was defeated by him. At that moment, he saw that someone had sent him a message. As soon as his eyes scanned the contents, they narrowed slightly. The message said, in short, that the person had already been captured. Send your location and we'll meet for the exchange. Shortly after, Kim Jin quickly headed towards an alley. He could feel that the place was cold and oppressive, as if something was waiting for him. He quickly analyzed the surroundings. This must be the meeting point. There were only a few minutes left until the agreed time with the middleman. Kim Jin remembered that the middleman who was selling mutants had said earlier that the buyer could also be a heart mutant. Song Yeji suppressed her uneasiness and asked if he was really going to meet that middleman. Kim Jin nodded. They commit crimes targeting heart mutants. I've heard that they themselves could also be heart mutants. Song Yeji more or less understood. So you want to find more mutants and see if you can get any clue about your friends? She was still worried, but Kim Jin had no intention of fighting directly. He only wanted to observe from a distance using his abilities. Even if something really happened, he could still escape safely. But if those who treat mutants like goods appear, I'll catch all of them. After saying that, Kim Jin picked up a spanner at a construction site. If he really needed to fight, at the very least he needed a weapon. If the other side was a mutant, going forward and fighting directly would be pointless. When fighting against a mutant, the most important thing was to first confirm the opponent's ability. But at the very moment he gripped the spanner and was still thinking about how to test that ability, several cold flashes cut across his line of sight and interrupted his thoughts before he could react. Sharp blades were already slicing through the air towards him, embedding themselves forcefully into a metal pillar, sending sparks flying everywhere. Kim Jin's pupils contracted violently. They were knives. A cold voice came from the other side. "What are you doing? You came alone. You don't look like someone here to negotiate mutants." The man continued, "Are you a policeman?" Kim Jin stared at the hooded man, his heart sinking and cold sweat running down his face. Could he be the middleman? He leaned on the ground and managed to stand up, keeping his eyes fixed on the long blade in the other man's hand. He didn't seem like a mutant, more like an ordinary human, but that murderous intent was even more dangerous than someone with powers. If he was just an ordinary person, it would be much easier to deal with him. In the next second, Kim Jin moved forward directly. He closed the distance instantly, not giving the other person any time to react. But at the very moment his fist was about to strike, he stopped abruptly. Kim Jin's eyes were full of disbelief. The person in front of him was actually his former lab partner, Lee Chae-won. Lee Chae slowly raised the blade and coldly asked Kim Jin how he knew his name. In the very next moment, before Kim Jin could speak, Lee Chae attacked him with a blow. Kim Jin's body was thrown forcefully to the ground, but he immediately got up and kept calling out his name. Soon after, Lee Chae directly cut the tendons in his leg, causing his body to lose all strength. Kim Jin did not expect the attack to be so ruthless, and several deep wounds appeared on his body. He stared fixedly at Lee Chae. He simply could not understand it. That man's swordsmanship was completely beyond his comprehension. At that moment, Kim Jin could not help but recall the scene when they escaped from the laboratory. While he was running away, a huge stone block suddenly appeared in front of him. At that time, he thought he would be crushed, but accompanied by several sharp sounds of blades, the stone was cut into fragments. Back then, Lee Chae's swordsmanship had already left him impressed, but that was years ago. Years later, Lee Chae would only have become even stronger. He had told Kim Jin that he would open a path for him. Returning to the present, Lee Chae pressed Kim Jin again, asking how he knew his name. Kim Jin did not reply. He simply stood up once again, which made Lee Chae hesitate, surprised. "I cut the tendons in your leg, and yet you can still stand. So you are also a mutant of the heart?" Kim Jin thumped his chest and shouted that it was him, the little skeleton who had regenerated his body. The image of the little skeleton flashed through Lee Chae's mind. "So that means you are Kim Jin?" Even then he was not fully convinced and asked again if he was that Kim Jin from the institute. Kim Jin nodded. Seeing that his old friend was still alive made him extremely happy. In the very next second, Lee Chae raised his hand and pointed. "So you really are Kim Jin?" Kim Jin told him to look at his body. "I regenerated myself and we used to study together at the institute. Isn't that enough proof?" As soon as he finished speaking, Kim Jin moved towards Lee Chae, saying that he had missed him a lot. But in response to that hug, Lee Chae opened his hand, summoned a blade, and attacked with murderous intent. Kim Jin didn't have time to react and was struck immediately. His body was covered in wounds, but he forced himself not to fall. Cold sweat was running down his forehead. "You still can't recognize me?" A slight smile appeared at the corner of Lee Chae's mouth. "Now I can be sure that you really are Kim Jin, because your wounds are healing incredibly fast." Kim Jin pulled the blade out of his body and showed the wound, hoping he would stop. But in the very next moment, Lee Chae disappeared from where he was standing. When he reappeared, the tip of his blade was already pressed against Kim Jin's throat. The moment he attacked, Kim Jin quickly dodged, but Lee Chae kept attacking relentlessly, and Kim Jin could only roll and evade, being forced into a humiliating situation. Leaning on the ground, Kim Jin roared, asking why he kept attacking and whether he hadn't recognized him yet. Lee Chae's face darkened, full of anger. "You should know better than anyone." Lee Chae's sword attacks were relentless, and Kim Jin was completely overpowered. Streams of blood kept gushing from his body, and the latest blows added countless new wounds. The blade was simply too fast. Kim Jin wanted to gather strength through the bleeding, but the movements in the fight were too intense, and he couldn't retain enough blood. If that continued, he would only be wasting his time. He looked up and saw Lee Chae advancing again. Kim Jin clenched his fist and faced him head-on. But what he never expected was that Lee Chae's blade would pierce straight through his arm. The speed was so great that he couldn't even see the movement. Lee Chae mocked him, asking if he really thought such a brute attack could reach him. He was right. Kim Jin's strike wouldn't have landed. Kim Jin knew better than anyone just how terrifying Lee Chae's swordsmanship was. But at that moment, Lee Chae's eyes trembled because Kim Jin used his regenerated muscles to trap the blade inside his own body. Then with his other hand, Kim Jin grabbed Lee Chae in one swift motion. While Lee Chae was still in shock, Kim Jin spun around and lifted his entire body. A whirlwind surged in the heart of Lee Che. What kind of monstrous strength was that? With a sudden movement, Kim Jin threw him violently far away. When Lee Che fell, dust immediately rose from the ground, but he threw his head back and laughed. I thought you were just a weak skeleton, but I didn't expect you to be so strong now. But if you could fight, why did you run away back then? Kim Jin raised his hand, asking him to stop. I never said I ran away. Those words only made Lee Che even more irritated. I'm talking about the laboratory, about the day we planned our escape. At that time, many guinea pigs escaped together, but some were caught again on the spot. And even those who managed to run away couldn't escape the pursuit. It was then that Lee Che realized there wasn't enough metal around, so her ability couldn't keep working. She told her companions to quickly find more iron to save those who had been captured. But Kim Jin just kept looking around, and even though there was metal nearby, he didn't bring anything. Lee Che saw that he had stood still because under a hail of bullets, Kim Jin turned around and ran away alone. At that moment, even Lee Che himself fell silent. If he hadn't run, maybe none of us would have survived. Lee Che mocked him, calling him a coward and weak. I should never have trusted a skeleton like you from the very beginning. In the next second, he opened his fingers and drew all the metal around the buildings towards his heart. As he absorbed it, the entire old metal structure around began to come loose and tremble. Lee Che knew that Kim Jin's regeneration was strong, but he believed that an attack of that level was more than he could bear. Even before he could regenerate, he would be reduced to pieces. And in fact, that was exactly what was happening. Kim Jin was already starting to panic. He tried to step back, but behind him, Lee Che had already formed a sword formation. Countless blades were all pointing at him at the same time. Kim Jin could only protect his vital points and force himself to endure. As long as he endured, he could regenerate. But in the very next moment, a flash of a sword passed before his eyes. Lee Che's attack was terrifying. Before Kim Jin could react, several strikes had already hit him, knocking him down until he couldn't move anymore. With that sequence of slashes, the entire scrap structure could no longer hold together. Outside the site, people only heard a loud explosion, as if something had detonated nearby. Song Yeji and the long-haired man saw it as well. Isn't that the direction he went in? Could something have happened? At the same time, inside the site, Kim Jin had pinned down Lee Che. Lee Che had no choice but to admit that Kim Jin's regeneration speed was ridiculously high. But that wasn't the most important thing. Kim Jin asked him to calm down. There must be some misunderstanding between us. I didn't run away back then. That day I fought till the end to protect everyone, and the reason I'm here today is because I'm afraid my friends might have been captured. Lee Che was left frozen. What kind of misunderstanding could there be? Just as both of them were facing off, they heard someone approaching. Kim Jin knew very well that if strangers saw him, he would be exposed. At that moment, Lee Che withdrew his arm. He also took a step back and let Kim Jin leave first, saying they would talk next time. Whatever needed to be said, they could say it later. Before leaving, he looked at Kim Jin, and his gaze carried a deep meaning. Both of us have been through a lot these past years. When the time comes, we'll have a lot to talk about. Kim Jin was a bit surprised. He never imagined that Lee Che worked at a fast food restaurant. Shortly after, Lee Che sat down and told Kim Jin that this was his job. This time, Song Yeji and the man with long hair also went with Kim Jin. Although Song Yeji was nervous, she still greeted Lee Che politely. Lee Che was also a bit surprised. He did not expect that Kim Jin had made friends there. The man with long hair was still hung up on the fight between Lee Che and Kim Jin from the previous day. Kim Jin told him not to talk like that, saying that Lee Che was a good friend. Then they continued the conversation that had been left unfinished the day before. Lee Che wanted to know why Kim Jin had run away back then. Actually, Kim Jin was not trying to run away. At the most critical moment, he heard a familiar sound, the beep of a bomb. When they were surrounded, that sound made his scalp tingle. He was extremely sensitive to bombs because he had already been blown up many times. When the people from the institute approached, Kim Jin wanted to use the bombs to bring down the building and cut off the pursuit. But if he did that, many people would die. So he could only hold the bombs against his own body for as long as possible, trying to keep the explosion within a limit he could bear. As a result, he ended up straying too far in the chaos. After that, the dozens of bombs in his arms exploded all at once, throwing him far away. When he woke up, he was already in a completely unfamiliar place. He looked around and didn't see anyone, so he assumed that everyone else had also escaped. Lee Che's memory was a bit hazy, but he remembered hearing an explosion in the distance. He asked in disbelief if Kim Jin had really carried a bunch of bombs. Yes, I carried them and I knew they couldn't kill me, that's why I did it. Lee Che put his hand to his face. And you expect me to believe something so absurd? Kim Jin knew it sounded absurd, but everything he said was true. In the next moment, Lee Che could no longer hold back his tears. I believe you. That sudden statement left Kim Jin stunned for a moment. Then, with a knife in hand, Lee Che went to the back kitchen and started chopping onions frantically. Kim Jin watched in disbelief. Lee Che tossed several ingredients into the air. His movements were clean and quick, almost like a performance. In just a few seconds, he prepared an onion burger. Sorry, I lost control of my emotions. The onion is a bit spicy. Also, this is a gift for you. When Kim Jin saw the gift, he almost started drooling. It was the house special combo. Lee Che was very popular at the restaurant, and soon students came to ask for photos with him. He turned on a cute dog filter and his attitude became much friendlier. But when he returned to his place, he regained that cold and distant presence. He apologized softly to Kim Jin. Yesterday, I acted before understanding the situation. It was my fault. But Kim Jin seemed not to hear or simply didn't care. Friends don't need that. He was just impressed with the taste of the burger. Lee Che smiled. Eat slowly, there is no shortage of burgers here. He told Kim Jin that he was the highest ranking executive of the shop and the overall person in charge. Kim Jin exclaimed that it was amazing. It seemed exactly like a normal life. And for Lee Che to have reached there, it surely wasn't easy. Lee Che promised that in the future, he would help Kim Jin become an ordinary person as well. At that moment, he was clearly excited, already planning to bring him to work there, and even said he could offer him half of the base salary. That way, Kim Jin could become someone ordinary and low-key. But when he started getting too excited, Kim Jin interrupted him. I need to ask clearly. We met at the agreed place. Why were you acting as an intermediary? Did you forget what they turned us into at the institute? How can you do that? I need an answer because I need to understand what you are doing. Lee Che scratched his head feeling a bit awkward and said that when he was bored, he pretended to be an intermediary, but in reality, he used that identity to catch people who hunted heart mutants. It turns out that Lee Che never forgot his companions and also wanted to find them. He disguised himself as an intermediary to gather information and then took out those criminals. Kim Jin never imagined that both of them had the same goal and even similar methods. Upon hearing that, he finally felt relieved. His friend hadn't changed. He was still a good person and hadn't gone down the wrong path. That is to say, Lee Che worked there during the day and at night carried out a reverse hunt by pretending to be an intermediary. That was shocking. My friend is really terrifying. He has suffered more than I had imagined. Lee Che felt a bit embarrassed and said that it hadn't been all that difficult. Kim Jin said that if he ever needed help, he could ask for it anytime. I came to meet you because I also want to know what happened to our friends, so you don't need to be formal with me. Lee Che's expression changed for a moment. The next second he banged on the table. Of course, why would I be formal with you? This time he was getting ready to catch a real middleman, and if they were lucky, they might find some clues about the other friends. Kim Jin wanted to go along, worried that something might happen if Lee Che went alone. But Lee Che refused. Too many people would only make things more complicated. He reached out his hand and said that he would still need Kim Jin's help many times in the future. Kim Jin also reached out and bumped his fist. Whenever you call me, I'll come. It was already night. Kim Jin was very grateful that his two friends had waited for him all that time. Behind him, the long-haired man was still suspicious. Is that guy really your friend? You haven't seen each other in so many years. How can you trust him? Song Yeji also agreed. When he mentioned selling people to middlemen, I was really shocked at that moment. Kim Jin laughed softly and told them not to worry. Lee Che was completely trustworthy because he had always been like that since childhood. Then Song Yeji thought of something else. But your friend said he would get in touch with you. He doesn't have a mobile phone. How's he gonna talk to you? Kim Jin took out a mobile phone. It was one he had taken from the criminals earlier, and Lee Che's contact was already saved in it. Meanwhile, a group of people was chasing someone. The person being chased raised his hand, asking them to stop chasing him. A golden sticky substance started coming out from his fingers. In the very next moment, that sticky mass was thrown. The three people behind him were caught off guard and stumbled straight into the substance, falling to the ground. The man smiled awkwardly. "Sorry, I just want to stay alive." But the moment he finished speaking, a man punched him in the face. Standing in front of him was a man in a suit whose very presence conveyed just one thing: danger. The blow was so strong that he couldn't even open his eyes. His body was trembling uncontrollably. All he could do was beg for mercy. "There's nothing special about my heart. It's just butter, nothing else. Please let me go." The boss grabbed him by the hair and frowned. Even a low-level mutant like this had shown up. But a mission was a mission, and he couldn't just let him go because he wanted to. The two people behind him were also surprised. That man's physical ability was no different from that of an ordinary person. But the boss didn't care at all. As long as he was a mutant, whether strong or weak, handing him over was worth $1 billion. Hearing that, the man fell into despair. Would he be captured and turned into an experiment as well? But at that moment, Li Che's figure appeared behind them. The group got frightened. When did this fellow appear? One of them had just started to speak when Li Che cut him off with a blade. Li Che's eyes were extremely cold. "If mutants are worth so much money, then I'll hand myself over to you. You can try to capture me." As soon as they realized that the newcomer had hostile intentions and was also a mutant, they all attacked together. Li Che was moving so fast that he seemed like a flickering shadow. In the blink of an eye, all four had already been slashed. In Li Che's eyes, those people were not even worth his attention. The boss pulled out a pistol and threatened that if he moved again, he would shoot. But Li Che simply held the barrel of the gun with his hand. A weapon is made of iron, and since it is iron, it belongs to him. In the next instant, he activated his ability, extracted the iron from the weapon and compressed it into his heart. Even then, the boss did not believe it and pulled the trigger. What happened next left him paralyzed. Li Che had placed several small blades inside the barrel of the gun, which exploded as if it was about to burst, instantly piercing the boss's hand. The boss was also ruthless. He threw away the weapon and forcefully pulled his hand out from the blades. Shortly after, Li Che had already defeated everyone and coldly warned them if they wanted to live, next time they should avoid going near anything made of iron. The butter mutant crawled towards him like a dog. "Thank you so much for saving me." It was the first time he had seen another mutant of the heart like himself, and he was trembling with excitement. He thought he would surely die that day, but somehow he had survived. But Li Che did not even look at him and just answered the phone. "The missing heart mutant has been recovered. Come and pick him up. Take him back to the laboratory." The butter mutant was still confused. "Which laboratory?" The next moment, Li Che knocked him unconscious with a single blow. His eyes turned cold. "Stay still. Didn't you see I was on the phone?" On the other end of the call, someone was analyzing records of guinea pigs. "You are interesting. There are a lot of useless guinea pigs here of various levels. You never act carelessly. That's why you are still reliable." Li Che smiled. "There's something else important to report. I found that little skeleton who escaped earlier." The moment the other person heard that, there was a noticeable pause. Then they promised that if the little skeleton was captured and brought back, Li Che would receive the reward she deserved. Upon hearing the word reward, Li Che's expression immediately brightened up. "So tomorrow I'll bring him back." After returning home, Li Che started preparing dinner by chopping vegetables while thinking about how she was going to deal with Kim Jin. Making Kim Jin show up wouldn't be difficult since he trusted her completely. But the day's battle was still fresh in her mind, and she had clearly seen how terrifying Kim Jin's regenerative ability was. Not only that, his strength was also much greater than before. Ordinary methods wouldn't work. She could only lure him to a place with a lot of iron. Soon, Li Che's curry was Lenny. Her younger sister, sitting in a wheelchair, smiled happily. "My brother's dinner is the best." Li Che's eyes were full of affection. "Today, I even added potatoes." Hearing that, her sister got even more excited. "It's my favorite." Li Che said that if she wanted to eat something, she could ask for it anytime. Her sister tugged at her clothes asking her to eat together, but Li Che refused. "Not today. Your brother still has to go out later." Her sister's eyes darkened instantly. "My brother's always like this." Even so, she set aside a portion of food and waited for him to return. Meanwhile, on the other side, Song Yeji was also cooking at home, but she had never cooked before and was learning step by following an AI tutorial. In the past few days, she felt that Kim Jin was very tired, so she wanted to prepare a good meal to reward him. Since it was her first time cooking, Her hands were sweaty from nervousness. This time she was making grilled meat with fruits. Song Yeji followed the AI's instructions, thinking there was no way it could go wrong. The process, the heat, the seasonings, everything was explained clearly, so she just had to follow along. The more she cooked, the happier she felt. Probably, there was no one else in the world who learned to cook in this way. At that moment, her elder sister sent her a message asking if she had already had dinner. Song Yeji quickly invited her to come home from work earlier and try the food. But her sister replied with a vomiting emoji. Song Yeji felt hurt in her heart. She immediately told Kim Jin that her sister would only come back after midnight and asked him to sleep early that night. But then she realized that Kim Jin was holding his phone and smiling to himself the whole time, waiting for a call or message from Lee Chae. Seeing that, Song Yeji even felt relieved. At last, there was someone who could make Kim Jin show such an expression. Little ears also licked Kim Jin's face as if sensing his happiness. Even though they hadn't seen each other for such a long time, the moment Kim Jin saw Lee Chae, it was as if he had gone back to the past. Lee Chae was Kim Jin's closest friend and always took good care of him. Whenever he saw Kim Jin alone, he would take the initiative to approach and talk to him. Back then, Kim Jin was very shy and would get nervous even just to speak. Moreover, the experiments from a few days ago had left him injured and he didn't feel like playing. Upon hearing that, Lee Chae lifted Kim Jin's shirt and saw that his fingers were gone. Kim Jin quickly pulled his arm back. The wounds from a few days ago still hadn't healed. "Don't look, it's too ugly." Lee Chae seemed to see right through him. "You've been restless all this while over something so small." He took him by the sleeve and lifted him up. He even put a blade in his hand so that he would feel safer. It was then that Lee Chae began to show his skills. A girl behind them said outright that he was bullying someone again. Lee Chae immediately explained that he wasn't bullying, just teaching how to protect oneself. Actually, Kim Jin really liked that blade. For him, it was simply amazing. The girl couldn't understand what they found so exciting and felt a bit left out. At that moment, Lee Chae stretched out his arm towards Kim Jin. Kim Jin didn't understand what it meant. Lee Chae explained that real friends bump fists. That's a sign of trust. Kim Jin also gently bumped his fist with his. At that moment, he realized that Lee Chae considered him a companion and that there was something called trust between them. Thinking about that, Kim Jin couldn't help but smile. Lee Chae was truly amazing. Beside him, Song Yeji didn't understand anything they were saying, but Kim Jin looked very happy. After all, he had reunited with an old friend. Then, Song Yeji reminded him to calm down a bit since it was already time for dinner. Then came the dinner that she had spent the whole afternoon preparing. Kim Jin stood there, surprised. The color, the aroma, and the taste all seemed perfect. He never imagined that Song Yeji would have that kind of skill. Song Yeji smiled. "Special grilled ribs. Quick, give it a try." She knew that Kim Jin liked fruits, so she added plenty of strawberries and apples. Kim Jin took a piece of rib with strawberry, put it in his mouth, and started chewing slowly. Song Yeji watched him nervously. "So, how is it?" But as he chewed, Kim Jin began to cry. The taste was so surreal that he couldn't believe a person could make something like this. Whether it was the orange or the strawberry, the sweetness was just right. Even the ribs were incredibly tender and aromatic. That combination was pure genius. Kim Jin noticed that Little Ears was also looking at his plate, as if wanting some. But what he didn't know was that Little Ears had no intention of eating that strange mixture. He just thought the smell was horrible. Song Yeji told him not to worry, that she would also make something for him. But Little Ears shook his head desperately. He definitely didn't want to eat that. Kim Jin kept devouring the food. "This is the best food I've ever tasted. Thank you so much." Song Yeji replied that if he liked it, she would make it often for him from now on. Kim Jin nodded. "I would never get tired of this paste." Just as he was happily eating, the phone on the table started ringing. There was only one person who could be calling. Lee Chae. Kim Jin answered immediately. On the other hand, Lee Chae said he was in danger. He had chased some people from the institute, but ended up cornered and needed Kim Jin to come and save him immediately. The moment Kim Jin heard the word institute, his heart sank. Song Yeji heard it too. She wanted to persuade Kim Jin not to go. She had a very bad feeling, but before she could say anything, Kim Jin had already said on the phone, "I'm coming, send me the location." Sei Road, the innermost building of the abandoned factory. After hanging up, Kim Jin quickly stuffed 2 more bites into his mouth. Lee Che was in danger, and he had to go immediately. He swallowed the food in a hurry, not even having time to taste it. Kim Jin turned to Song Ye-ji and apologized. "The food you made is really delicious. It's the best I've ever eaten in my life, but I don't have time right now. Sorry for making you waste your whole afternoon." With that, he was about to leave, but Song Ye-ji told him to wait. She wanted to go too because she was afraid something might happen, but Kim Jin refused. 10 minutes later, he arrived at the abandoned factory building. The place was full of steel. Seeing the scene, Kim Jin immediately felt that something was wrong. There were signs of a struggle, but with so much iron there, how could Lee Che have lost? Could it be that the institute had some kind of special weapon? And the further he went, the quieter everything became. It was an eerie silence, and the traces of the fight were strangely few. Kim Jin's instincts were screaming. When he entered, he only knew there was a lot of iron, but he hadn't expected this much. The floor was completely covered with steel plates. There was iron in every direction, to the point that he could hardly see anything else. Kim Jin's mind was racing. Please let it not be the possibility I least want to see. In an environment made entirely of iron like this, if Lee Che could lose here, Kim Jin would never believe it. He forcefully suppressed that bad feeling. Lee Che must have been defeated by some kind of secret weapon. Maybe right at this moment, for some reason, Lee Che is unable to use his ability and is shivering in some corner, waiting to be rescued. At that moment, not too far from there, a hand gently pressed against the ground. The very next second, the steel rose up and transformed into several blades. Then, multiple sharp blades shot fiercely towards Kim Jin. Caught off guard, he was pierced straight through the heart by two of them, and a suffocating pain exploded in his chest. Kim Jin's expression changed drastically. He too had been ambushed, but the moment he turned his head, he saw blades continuously emerging from the ground. That was Lee Che's ability. Kim Jin's body fell heavily to the ground. In the reflection on the surface of the blades, he saw the figure of Lee Che. Kim Jin, he could understand. With a trembling voice, he asked if he hadn't been captured. Lee Che replied coldly, "As you can see." Kim Jin understood immediately. Everything he had said before was a lie. The next second, Lee Che moved forward. His voice was icy. "You finally realized." Even with the intense pain, Kim Jin forced himself to jump away from the blades piercing his body. Lee Che was absurdly fast. Kim Jin could barely keep up, only dodging. With a single mistake, Lee Che landed a violent kick on him. Kim Jin was sent flying. Gritting his teeth, he asked, "Why are you doing this?" Lee Che's reply was cold as iron. "I am a middleman. My job is to capture mutants and take them back to the laboratory." Those words struck like thunder, leaving Kim Jin's mind in shock. Lee Che was gonna send him back to hell. As Lee Che activated his power, a blade silently rose behind Kim Jin. Luckily, he dodged quickly, or his body would have been pierced instantly. At the same time, Lee Che charged forward directly with his sword. This time, what Kim Jin felt was not restraint, but a killing intent. He really wanted to kill him. Lee Che had truly changed. Kim Jin picked up a steel plate from the ground. At the moment the blade came down, he just barely managed to block it. Suppressing his rage, he shouted, "Wake up! Are you really gonna send me back there?" He didn't understand what had happened, but he needed an explanation. However, Lee Che said it wasn't necessary and pressed his hand against the steel plate. The next second, 4 or 5 blades exploded out from inside the plate itself. Kim Jin cursed inwardly. What the hell happened to this fellow to make him turn out like this? All he could do was roll and retreat desperately. Kim Jin never imagined that Lee Che was connected to the institute, which meant he was part of a criminal organization. He picked up a shield and a long metal rod. In the very next moment, he attacked Lee Che with all his strength. But to Lee Che's eyes, that speed was as slow as crawling. Lee Che coldly told him not to resist. "You'll save yourself some pain. Surrendering is easier." As soon as he said that, a simple movement of his blade completely deflected Kim Jin's attack. Kim Jin knew he couldn't face him there. He turned around and ran. That was no longer the friend he once knew. Lee Che sneered inwardly. "Do you think you can escape?" His palm pressed against the ground and blades sprang up in large numbers. When the tip of one of them was about to pierce Kim Jin's throat, he twisted his neck with all his might and narrowly dodged it. "He really wants to kill me. He set all this up in this place full of iron. I don't stand a chance against him." Even so, Kim Jin couldn't believe it. Lee Che really intended to hand him over to the institute. "What happened to you?" Did you forget that hill? Do you want to go back there? Lee Che replied directly, that doesn't matter. Your life has nothing to do with me. That sentence completely ignited Kim Jin's fury. If it didn't matter, then he would fight with everything he had. But Kim Jin's punches and kicks still had only a limited effect. Soon after, he took another blade to the chest. However, at that very moment, Kim Jin's arm had already reached Lee Che's face. The next second, a punch landed squarely on Lee Che's nose. Lee Che was left in shock. He had already slashed him so many times, but nothing seemed to count as a real wound. Over the years, Kim Jin had developed resistance through torture. The Kim Jin of today was completely different from the one in the past. He healed faster now and had also become better at counter-attacking the very instant his wounds closed. Lee Che immediately threw several quick punches. He intended to overwhelm Kim Jin with speed so that he wouldn't have time to recover. He knew very well that as long as Kim Jin's recovery was interrupted, he wouldn't be able to counterattack. Impatience began to show in Lee Che's eyes because Kim Jin was no longer a target who could be taken down easily. At that moment, Kim Jin remembered the days in the laboratory. Back then, he was dragged in every day for experiments. And this time, it was a regeneration test. The heavy door opened slowly and the one who entered was none other than Lee Che. Kim Jin was left paralyzed. Why was he there? It was found that the researchers wanted to observe the process of degeneration, regeneration and recovery of a regenerative heart under the stimulus of sword skill. The test subject was Lee Che. They wanted him to use his power to cut Kim Jin. Lee Che refused immediately. Kim Jin was his friend and there was no way he would do that. But the moment he refused, his neck received an electric shock. Kim Jin panicked. Stop hesitating and just do it already. I can regenerate. I'll be fine. No matter what Kim Jin said, Lee Che still couldn't attack him. Kim Jin became even more desperate. I've already told you I can't die. If you don't do this, you'll die from electrocution. Unable to convince him, Kim Jin could only provoke him with harsh words. Coward, stop pretending to be strong and do as you're told. Lee Che hated being called a coward more than anything, and his whole body tensed up. But Kim Jin kept provoking him. All you know how to do is cut people. Compared to abilities that freeze, burn or tear someone apart, you're too weak, being ridiculed by someone even weaker than you. Lee Che could hardly believe it. Kim Jin told him not to waste time and said that he would regenerate soon. Finally, Lee Che drew his sword. Then I'll show you just how weak I really am. In the very next second, Lee Che's gaze turned sharp like a blade. The moment Kim Jin met that gaze, his heart shrank. This was gonna hurt again. Then a slash struck Kim Jin. Only then did he realize that he had gone too far and provoked him beyond the limit. After several blows, blood began to gush violently from Kim Jin's wounds, but even then he gritted his teeth and said it didn't hurt at all. Your attacks are too weak. After that, Kim Jin fell heavily to the ground. The experiment ended there. Lee Che looked completely exhausted. His clothes were almost soaked in blood. He looked at the wounds on Kim Jin's body and only one feeling remained in his heart: pain. But in the very next moment, Kim Jin froze. Why didn't it hurt so much? Lee Che lowered his voice and explained, "Don't move, pretend you don't know anything." Only then did Kim Jin realize that the blood that had splattered was not his own. At the moment he attacked, Lee Che had also cut himself and let his own blood flow. Kim Jin did not understand. He had regeneration. No matter how serious his wounds were, he could recover. Lee Che was on the verge of tears. "Idiot, I know your recovery is slow and those wretches at the institute never give you enough energy to regenerate properly. Also, stop making these kinds of sacrifices. It's foolish and you'll only end up getting hurt. Doing such things between friends is odd. I don't want to see you hurt." But that boy didn't exist anymore. The friend standing in front of him now was truly trying to kill Kim Jin. He launched another attack and Kim Jin felt as if all the blood in his body was being drained out. Even so, Kim Jin pushed forward purely by force of will. He couldn't fall there. Kim Jin threw a punch at Lee Che. But at the very moment the blow was about to land, Lee Che's sword also came down. Even then, at that instant, Kim Jin stopped his punch. He was still taking a gamble. Was Lee Che being forced? That blow was just a test. Lee Che got furious. "Are you underestimating me?" He growled through clenched teeth. "Do you know how much that hurts my pride?" Even before he finished speaking, the sword struck Kim Jin. At the moment he was struck, Kim Jin turned and started running. He didn't want to fight anyone. Lee Che ran after him. "Don't run, it's useless. Today I'll hand you over to the institute." Saying that, he jumped and vanished from where he was standing. What Kim Jin didn't expect was that Lee Che would use Song Jae-hee and Longer as a threat. At that moment, Kim Jin completely lost it. That had crossed the line. He stopped running. In that case, today they would fight to the death. In the next instant, Lee Che cut off Kim Jin's arm and kept provoking him. "I almost forgot, you also have that dog. It's important to you, isn't it? So if you dare to run away, none of them will survive. Every time you run, they will pay with their lives." Before Lee Che could finish, Kim Jin's severed arm suddenly clamped down on his jaw. Kim Jin's fingers tightened to the maximum, gradually increasing the pressure. Those words had driven Kim Jin mad. Not only had he crossed his limit, but he had also used his friends as a threat. There was no way Kim Jin would let him get away. The two people and the dog mentioned by Lee Che were all important to Kim Jin. He still wanted to understand what Lee Che had gone through in those 3 years. Maybe he had his own reasons, but now Kim Jin no longer wanted to know. Because the moment Lee Che said those words, Kim Jin started treating him as an enemy. From now on, he would destroy him. Kim Jin tore the corner of Lee Che's mouth and began to drink his blood. The moment the blood entered his body, the outline of his severed hand began to form again. Then his hand regenerated completely. That scene left Lee Che in shock. Before he could react, Kim Jin landed a heavy blow to his abdomen. Lee Che staggered backwards. No matter how strong he was still flesh and bone. His regeneration was not like Kim Jin's. Kim Jin could take countless blows, but if Lee Che took a solid hit, he could break his ribs, and a few more would be fatal. Kim Jin landed another punch on his nose. Lee Che was thrown backwards. He could only think that Kim Jin's last blow had been too fast to react to, and even more terrifying. By the time Lee Che managed to get up, Kim Jin was already behind him. Another heavy blow struck his nose. The force was so great that it made Lee Che roll across the ground. Lee Che cursed inwardly. Damn it, where is the strength coming from? Could it be that Kim Jin really gets stronger by drinking blood? He didn't believe it. He immediately changed his strategy, switching to long-range attacks. He needed to regain control of the fight. Dozens of blades sprang up from the ground and were shot one after another towards Kim Jin, but no matter how many there were, Kim Jin always managed to dodge them with a single step. Even Lee Che was surprised. Was he predicting where the blades would appear? What Lee Che didn't know was that those blades didn't pose a deadly threat to Kim Jin. He could clearly sense where they would emerge from. Kim Jin's reaction speed was no longer the same as before. His ability was not just regeneration. His strength, speed, reflexes, and endurance were also increasing. With each regeneration, he reached a higher level. At this rate, Lee Che knew very well that he was going to lose. He didn't want to use that move, but now he had no choice. He pressed his palm against the ground and began frantically absorbing the steel around him. Particles of iron tore through his blood vessels and organs. At the same time, his heart reacted violently, as if it was about to explode. But he could no longer worry about the cost. His body began to transform in an instant. Dozens of blades grew out from his body. He completed his transformation. His entire body turned into a blade. He believed that no matter how many times Kim Jin regenerated, he wouldn't be able to get through the blades covering his body. He thought he had become invincible. But Kim Jin's speed did not decrease. On the contrary, it increased as he moved forward directly. So what if your body is made of blades? So what if these blades pierce through the bones of my hand? You are underestimating me too much. I stopped being afraid of pain a long time ago. That punch made Lee Che spit out blood instantly. The blades pierced Kim Jin's flesh, tearing his body apart. Even so, he acted as if he didn't feel anything. But compared to the physical pain, there was something that hurt even more. His friend had betrayed him. Kim Jin threw another punch at Lee Che's nose. It was an extremely violent blow, as if he had put all his strength into it. Because what hurts the most has never been a blade. Kim Jin would rather die at the hands of an enemy than see a friend betray him. Compared to that betrayal, Lee Che's blades were nothing. A friend of 10 years was trying to send him back to that hell. Kim Jin's heart hurt so much that he could barely breathe. He demanded to know why Lee Che was doing this. Did their friendship mean nothing at all? He also wanted to know exactly what the institute had promised him to make him change like this. No one knew that place better than Lee Che. Lee Che only replied, There's no point talking about it. Now I'm with the institute. From the very beginning, I planned to sell you out to them. We can't be friends again." Those words completely enraged Kim Jin. He landed another blow on Lee Che's case. Kim Jin would not allow him to end everything with just one sentence. Today, he would make Lee Che come to his senses. If Lee Che had really betrayed him, then Kim Jin wanted to know exactly what he had gained from it. Even if you're making excuses, you still have to explain yourself. If you ever consider me a friend, then tell me everything. Lee Che's eyes became complicated. It's true. We used to be friends before. Back then, when everyone was together, we were happy. But with time, people change. Nah, I have nothing to say. I'm sorry. At that moment, heavy footsteps echoed from outside. Kim Jin's heart sank. The people from the institute had arrived. A group of fully armed men burst into the place. They switched on blinding lights that made it impossible for Kim Jin to open his eyes and ordered him to surrender immediately. Kim Jin couldn't understand how they had arrived so quickly. When he looked up, he saw a row of gun barrels pointed straight at him. If he moved even a little, they would shoot instantly. Kim Jin and Lee Chai was surrounded by 40 or 50 people. One of the armed men shouted, "Heart mutant detected, requesting reinforcements inside the factory." The moment he heard that, Kim Jin's heart started racing. It was exactly the institute style. Back then, they used to wear the same uniforms and surround him in the same way. At that time, he couldn't die, but what came after was unimaginably cruel. Bullets piercing his body one after another. They never valued life and never treated mutants as human beings. Kim Jin knew he couldn't waste any more time. He needed to break through the encirclement immediately. He didn't even forget to lift Lee Che along with him, using him as a shield. He picked up a steel pipe from the ground. A steel pipe was useless against firearms, but if he could block them for even a moment, that would be enough. In the very next second, Kim Jin heard the steel pipe with all his strength. He wanted to create an opening. Then he gathered strength in his legs, getting ready to carry Lee Che and dash out at full speed. Just moments ago, they were fighting as if only one of them could survive, but Lee Che was still his friend. After all, even if he had really tried to kill him, maybe there was still some reason he couldn't speak about. As long as they managed to get out alive, Kim Jin was determined to clear everything up. No matter what, he would never let his friend die there. But he had barely moved a few meters when the armed men already got up with him. Kim Jin didn't dare to stop. The moment he did, he would be surrounded again. However, what he never imagined was that the outside was already completely blocked off. As soon as he turned the corner, even more soldiers were already blocking the way out. The dark barrels of the guns were raised and pointed uniformly at Kim Jin and Lee Chai. Kim Jin's heart turned cold. With so many people, there was no way to escape easily. The pursuers behind also closed in, forming a circle and blocking all escape routes. The captain spoke. "Everyone stay alert and await instructions from headquarters. If the target resists, I authorize you to open fire." He was Kim Yu from the Special Assault Unit. The situation was extremely unfavorable for Kim Jin. If this dragged on any longer, he would surely be taken back to the laboratory and the tragedy would repeat itself. Kim Yu switched on his communicator and began to report to command. But at that moment, a slender hand pressed the device and took it away directly. "From now on, I am taking full control of this operation." The status of that woman was frighteningly high. Not even the captain of the assault unit dared to resist. Her name was Song Ye. Kim Yu's expression immediately turned stiff. Not just him, but the entire team began to break out in a cold sweat, which showed how high her position was. No one expected that Song Ye, the leader of the Special Operations Unit, would appear in person. After that, following her orders, everyone lowered their weapons. Song Ye walked towards Kim Jin step by step, and Kim Jin actually heard her say his name. She lowered her voice and told him not to be afraid. "I'm here to help you. I heard all about your situation from my younger sister." Only then did Kim Jin finally understand. The woman smiled slightly. "My name is Song Ye. I am Song Yeji's elder sister. Pleased to meet you."